All right, it's about 7 o'clock. We're gonna call the Lake Elmo City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 3rd to order. If you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First thing, the next thing on the item, agenda is approval of the agenda. If nobody has any changes, I'll entertain a motion.
So move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the agenda with a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda is hereby approved. I don't have any presentations on the docket, and I don't believe we have anybody for public comment today. So in our packet were the minutes from the May 20th, 2025 meeting. If nobody has any objections, I'll entertain a motion on approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve minutes from May 20th, 2025.
Support.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes for May 20th, 2025. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. On the consent agenda this evening, we have number 2 is approved payment of disbursements and payroll. Number 3, approved security reduction and accept improvements for Northstar offsite utilities. Number 4, approved cost share agreement for CSAH 13, Inwood Avenue pavement rehabilitation improvements, resolution 2025-042. Number 5, accept quotes and award contract for the Reid Park parking lot improvements. Number 6, approve city oversized cost payment for Northstar offsite utilities. Number 7, approve release of warranty security for the Northport 3rd edition. Number 8, approve Regional Firefighters Association Reciprocal Fire Service Agreement. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as written. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda is hereby approved. In the regular agenda, first item this evening in the regular agenda is Primrose Daycare Conditional Use Permit, Resolution 2025-044.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Tonight you're being asked to review the application for Primrose Schools CUP. A little bit of background. This is located at 11899 Upper 40th Street. It's zoned commercial and it's in the comp plan as guided for commercial as well. History on this is that it is undeveloped currently. It's just west of the Bridgewater Bank site. It is north of Stillwater Boulevard and to the west of Manning Ave. Once again, the request is to establish a daycare center use through the conditional use permit process. And daycare centers are permitted conditionally in this zoning district. So here we have a rendering of the proposed building. Proposed to have 12 classrooms, 1 indoor play area, 2 outdoor play areas, 192 students at capacity with 28 staff members. The hours of operation will be from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Peak drop-off between 6 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Peak pickup between 3:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. with special events occasionally. Next, we have the site plan. Here you'll find the parking area to the west and the daycare center and the playgrounds to the east. The plan currently meets city standards, including bulk standards, setbacks, impervious surface, and parking standards. The applicant is proposing 56 parking stalls and they are required 55. So this went out for agency review on April 11th, and the city received comments from the listed agencies. Those are summarized here, and I can run through them quickly. No comment from the DNR. The fire department provided standard comments as well as the planning department in the Valley Branch Watershed District. The county also had standard comments. landscape architect had comments around revisions to the parking area and adding additional trees. Public Works had fairly standard comments, and then the city engineer provided a memo summarizing that while the plans submitted with the application are compliant with the intended Bridgewater Village infrastructure, that those plans may change a little bit, so they would have to come forward and get those re-reviewed and accepted by the city before a building permit would be issued. All right, so the CUP findings, I summarized them here. The proposed use will not be detrimental or endanger public health, safety, or welfare, and will not be hazardous or create a nuisance. The proposed use is consistent with the 2040 comp plan. It's compatible with the existing neighborhood, meets development standards. It should be compatible in appearance with the existing character of the area. It went through a design review and met those standards. The proposed use will be served by essential public facilities. It should not add additional public costs, and it's not anticipated to cause significant traffic congestion. So this brings me to the conditions of approval. And I kind of separated those out through standard conditions and agreements. So the standard conditions are that the applicant must obtain all necessary city, state, and other governing permits. If substantial construction has not taken place within 12 months, the conditional use permit would become void. The applicant should fully address all comments in any of the review memos or any of the next revised memos that might come up. The expansion or modification of the building or outdoor play area should require a conditional use permit if there's any modifications, and this does not include typical maintenance. When the construction of signs are desired, the applicant must apply for a sign permit with the city requirements. Engineering, again, this goes back to the one I was discussing previously. The subdivision improvements must be constructed and accepted by the city at Bridgewater Village before a building permit would be issued. Agreements are all fairly standard. Those are that they would need a site improvement agreement that's acceptable to the city, stormwater maintenance and easement agreements if applicable. The applicant would be required to enter into encroachment agreements, and any portion of the improvements within a city or county access, drainage, or utility easement are subject to removal or modification by the holder of said easement. So this went out for public hearing notice, was sent to surrounding properties on May 12th and published in the city's official newspaper on May 16th. The public hearing was at the Planning Commission, and we received no comments. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the CUP with the recommended conditions outlined by staff and a vote of 6-0. So with that, I'll leave you with the recommended motion, and the applicant is here should you have any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Monterusso? Councilmember Dragisich?
Now, what is the encroachment agreement for the parking lot? What's the reason for that? I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, there's a drainage and utility easement encroachment. I'll go back to the site plan. That is here. You can't really see it well.
Yeah, okay.
But that is because the parking area is in this easement area. So they would just be required by Public Works if the city needed to get under there for any reason. That being said, I think the applicant they have submitted revisions, and I think they will eventually come forward with a easement vacation request.
Thank you.
There's no further questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, just one quick question for the applicant, actually.
Okay. The applicant here, come to the podium, please. State your name, address for the record.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Marvin Wensman. I'm with Primrose Schools. I'm a development manager. And what else did I have to mention?
Just your name and address for the record.
Address, 244 St. Albans Street North, St. Paul, Minnesota, 55408.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so just a quick question about the parking. So I know it meets the requirements for the
sure.
number of parking spots. You kind of talk about expecting 128 students, and then how the parents will actually park and drop the kids off. Can you just kind of talk us through as far as like in that morning, in the afternoon pickup, are all 126 families showing up at the same time? Just talk us through that process a little bit, just so I can feel confident about the
Yeah.
traffic situation.
Definitely. So at capacity, we never run 100% at capacity, just to allow for the franchise owners to plan for children to move up into classes above. But, so at capacity, we would expect, 188 or 180 roughly students to be at this childcare center. In terms of peak hours, that's anytime from 6 to 9 a.m. So our peak hours in the morning are roughly 7 to 8. We anticipate, of course, it's not like a school, even though it's Primrose Schools, it's a child care center. It can be dropped off. We usually say a drop off in the morning takes about 5 minutes. And we anticipate, I think it's about 6 drop-offs per every 10-minute chunk. And so we, from a concept plan standpoint and parking standpoint, operationally, the minimum that we require as a corporation is 40 to 45. So we have are completely confident in the way that this looks. And in terms of the drop-off procedure, parents come in, they park, there's no drop-off lanes, they have to walk their child in, and then same with pickups, they have to walk in and pick up their children and walk them to the car.
Great. It sounds like that the 44 spaces typically is enough where there's not situations where parents are getting there, unable to find a parking space, having to go to a neighboring lot. It sounds like that's pretty well
Exactly.
practiced out with the other franchises.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 500 locations throughout the nation. We're in 34 states, we have just 20 in the Twin Cities, and parking was an issue in the past when you're looking at less than 40 stalls, but 56 is more than enough from our standpoint.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve resolution 2025-044, approving the request for Primrose Schools Franchise Corporation for a conditional use permit to construct and establish a daycare facility at property described as 11899 Upper 40th Street based on the findings of fact and with the conditions listed in the staff report.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the item. Discussion?
I guess I'll just start. Again, I'm excited whenever new businesses are looking to join the Lake Elmo community, so thanks for looking at our community for this opportunity. Again, obviously with a franchise of this size, they're looking for very specific benchmarks, I'm sure, when they're choosing a location, and seeing that Lake Elmo is one of those locations, it's nice to see that, and obviously there's likely a need then, I'm guessing, for it in the area, so I think it's gonna really serve the population well, and just be another good opportunity for a lot of the residents that currently live here and that are looking to move here in the near future.
I would concur with that. Councilmember Holtz, you have something?
I was just gonna add, the building from the outside appears to be beautiful. It fits in with the area. I like how it looks. It's not necessarily something that we vote on per se, choose from these 10 options. But in this case, I appreciate the appearance thereof. It's on a major arterial road for our community, so those types of things do matter. It's gonna be in a very good location, and I appreciate that you are coming to Lake Elmo. I did see when you were at the planning commission, there was mention that the franchisees are residents themselves. So I appreciate that fact as well. And obviously it's having a supply to meet the demand. And I think we're all aware that this is one of the areas where as we continue to grow, facilities for our children matter. So thank you for doing that.
All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2025-044 is approved. Thank you. Next up, we have Berschens minor subdivision and zoning map amendment, ordinance 2025-11 and resolution 2025-045 and 2025-046.
All right, thank you, Mayor. The applicant for tonight's applications is Jean and Janet Berschens. They are trustees for the property. The property is located at 9579 45th Street, which is comprised of 4 PIDs. The property is a little over 134 acres. It is currently guided rural area development in the city's comprehensive plan. The parcels are zoned rural residential. 1 parcel is public facilities, and it does have a shoreland overlay on it. And the requests before you tonight are twofold. The first is for a 4-lot minor subdivision, and the second is for a zoning map amendment cleanup for estate planning purposes. And then the picture on the right shows the existing conditions. The 4 purple diamonds are the 4 lots, mostly crop farming, wetlands, and then there is 1 existing homestead. So this slide shows the proposed plat pieced together. It's a pretty long property, so the plat's in two pages. There will be 2 lots north of 45th Street and 2 lots south of 45th Street, so still 4 lots at the end of the day. Lot number 3 that I have on the slide here would be the homestead parcel. So there's no other development proposed, just maintaining that single home. Analyzing the minor subdivision request, so the city allows exceptions to the plating process when minor subdivisions meet certain criteria. Staff has reviewed this and found that there are no more than 4 lots being created. Instead, 4 lots are being reconfigured. The second is that no new infrastructure or streets is proposed. Instead, they're dedicating right-of-way to the existing 45th Streets that are there. Easements have been dedicated where applicable. The request meets the rural residential zoning district requirements, and it meets the city's access and spacing requirements. No new driveways are proposed since there's no new homes being proposed. And then the visuals at the bottom of the slide show the existing 4-lot layout next to the proposed new 4-lot layout. The second part of the applicant's request is a zoning map amendment to clean up the zoning of the property. The parcel that is outlined in red on your screen is currently public facilities, and that would need to be corrected to rural residential. So staff did some research into why that was, and in the early 2000s, it was slated for a public works facility. That facility was now shifted to where it is today on Ideal Avenue, and the zoning was never corrected. So doing this change would actually make the zoning of the property consistent with its comp plan guidance, which is rural area development. So more of a housekeeping related item. And this was sent out for agency review on April 16th, and we received the following comments. The Public Works provided comments regarding property line revisions to accommodate that existing trail into the Tapestry neighborhood. The applicant has addressed this with their resubmittal. The second is from the watershed indicating that a permit would be required, and the applicant has obtained the watershed permit between Planning Commission and City Council. The city engineer provided comments that the required easements and right-of-way dedications appear to be satisfied, and they had the same comment regarding Public Works with the trail easement amendment that has been addressed. Fire Department provided standard comments regarding roads, water lines, access, gates, and addressing. The city attorney provided a plat opinion, which the applicant has been working towards, and the DNR did not provide comments. So this item was sent to surrounding property owners on April 29th and then remailed on May 12th. We had an issue with paper publication, and it was published in the paper on May 16th. This was reviewed at the Planning Commission May 27th, and the public hearing was held at that time, and we have not received any comments. So staff has three recommended findings of fact. The first is that the minor subdivision and zoning map amendment are consistent with the city's comp plan and future land use. The second is that the minor subdivision and zoning map amendment requests are consistent with the rural residential zoning district. And the third is that the minor subdivision request is consistent with the exceptions to platting. And there are 6 recommended conditions of approval. The first is that all necessary permits are obtained. Second is that the applicant work with the city to assign addresses to the 4 parcels. Third is that they address the city attorney's plat opinion. The fourth is related to accessory buildings. So that lot 3 that was on there is currently a farm homestead with many accessory buildings. And it's on a parcel of over 40 acres, so it's unregulated in terms of size and number of accessory buildings. With this plat, it would be on a 10-acre parcel, which restricts buildings. But because the property owner is planning to use it in conjunction with a property north of 45th Street, so over 40 acres and still for ag purposes, the city is okay with them having this number of buildings, with the condition that once it's no longer under common ownership or they stop using it for ag, they need to come into compliance with the size and number of buildings for a 10-acre parcel. So they can continue farming operations with that size and number of buildings.
Question, how will that be tracked?
We would be able to inspect it. You'd see that they're not crop farming, or they wouldn't have livestock. And then you can check the county for ownership purposes.
I mean, is that something like, once every 5 or 10 years it pops up as a work item for the city to review to be like, hey, is this still the case? Has anything changed, or how does that process work?
We could be inspecting it. It's probably gonna come up with sale or development of the property. At that time, it would need to be addressed.
Thank you.
The 5th condition is that the special assessments currently levied against the property would need to be paid or transferred. This is related to a street improvement project from the early 2000s. And the final condition is that they meet that standard expiration. And I have 3 recommended motions for you. And I can stand for any questions, and a representative for the applicant is here tonight.
Any questions for Ms. Johnson? Any questions for the applicant?
I have a question regarding the, and if you went over this and I missed it, I apologize, but what about water, sewer, things getting to the property? Are we gonna have to get permission to go through someone else's property?
In terms of, so there's no development proposed. It's gonna maintain a single home.
Got it,
There's
okay,
water there, there's no sewer in this area.
got it, okay.
Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance 2025-11, amending the city zoning map for PID 10.029.21.13.0002 from public facilities to rural residential as presented by city staff.
Second.
We have a motion and a section. Second, any discussion? Seems pretty cut and dry. I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion to adopt ordinance 2025-11, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ordinance is hereby adopted.
Move to adopt resolution authorizing publication summary ordinance 2025-11 with approval of resolution 2025-045.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor, adopt the resolution authorizing publication, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Move to recommend approval of resolution 2025-046, approving the Berschens Shores Third Edition minor subdivision based on the findings of fact and conditions presented in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, don't take it away from me.
Sorry.
All those in favor, move to recommend a resolution 2025-046, approve Berschens Shores Third Edition minor subdivision based on the findings of fact and conditions presented in the staff report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we can go.
Now we're good.
I think we have a new idea that can happen each time.
Yeah.
Great when he's ready.
Next, we have authorization preliminary design geotech service and feasibility report for the 2026 street and utility improvements, resolution 2025-043.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I have an item to authorize preliminary design, geotechnical services, and preparation feasibility report for the 2026 street and utility project, continuing the annual street improvement program. So I'm going to talk about a few things tonight. We'll talk about where the streets are, the kind of condition they're in, the anticipated scope, project schedule, and what kind of costs we're looking at here. So the neighborhood in question it's primarily the Lake Elmo Heights neighborhood over on kind of the west edge of town, south of Stillwater. There is one street that's it's technically within the Eagle Point Creek Estates. That's the Inwood Avenue cul-de-sac on the north side of the road there. So this is a representation of street condition from the last street rating, which was done in 2023. That red color, red is dead. You know, we can't, we have to reconstruct or reclaim these streets. There's really no other way to extend the service life, and the others within are that kind of yellow color. And I would say that upon review of site conditions, they are definitely red at this point. So similar to past projects of this type, we're going to be looking at completing street and drainage improvements, and that final recommendation will come from the geotechnical investigation. There's existing bituminous curb along all these streets, which will be proposed to be replaced with new concrete curb and gutter. The existing widths and geometrics we're looking to nearly match or very closely match. And we'll be reviewing whether on-street parking restrictions should be put into place as well. The existing storm sewer system will be inspected and reviewed to see if there are any improvements necessary to facilitate neighborhood drainage. There is existing public water main in this neighborhood. It was put in 2005. What we'll be doing is looking at the system. We'll be reaching out, as part of the outreach, making sure it's functioning for everyone in the neighborhood, working with Public Works to make sure all the valves and hydrants are in good working order. Any sort of improvements to the system will be completed with the project. And again, this is outside of the MUSA boundary, so there are no sanitary sewer extensions proposed as part of this project. So looking at the schedule here, this is an assessable project following the 429 process. So tonight I'm before you looking to authorize preliminary design and order a feasibility report. Over the course of the summer, if council approves, we'll work to that end, and anticipating having a neighborhood meeting in mid-August to discuss the scope of improvements with the neighbors. Following that would be bringing the feasibility report before council, as well as a summary of our preliminary design findings. Looking for approval of that feasibility report at that time, and ordering a public improvement hearing. And the public improvement hearing would be held in October. In advance of that, it's not listed here on this schedule, but we would actually like to have another public meeting with the neighbors, more or less to go over a preliminary assessment role and things like that, and discuss, any questions for the improvements. But the point of that is to get in front of them with the preliminary assessment role and talk about construction. We would then look to develop plans over the winter and have advertisement, authorization to advertise for bids in January, and then move forward with the bidding process kind of midwinter. And this is a little earlier than past projects have been, but in order to capture, in order to maximize our chances of having favorable bids and having a positive bidding environment, it's best to be, an early bird. Right now, there is a very favorable bidding environment out there. So we've been kind of lucky this year, but getting a bid in the winter is really, it allows us to get good bids, but it also allows us to get going right away in the spring and kind of finish up before school starts, which is really the goal here. So costs for the 2026 project, we have a CIP estimate of a little over 2.7 million. We have reviewed this as part of our ongoing CIP update and find that cost to be appropriate. So at this stage, we're looking to authorize a preliminary design contract of just under $60,000, a geotechnical services contract of about $14,000, and then the preparation of the feasibility report and the public outreach. We're estimating it's gonna be about $28,000 for a total impact of just under $102,000. With that, I'm asking council to consider approving a resolution ordering preparation of preliminary design, geotechnical services, and a feasibility report for the 2026 street improvement project.
Any questions for Mr. Stanley? I will say that I got a call from a resident.
Yeah.
And I sent him your way because it wasn't connecting for me. So he should be very happy.
I did, Mr. Mayor, I did speak with him this afternoon. He was happy to hear. He's a resident on 26th Avenue, so I let him know that his street was scheduled for reconstruction next year if we move forward now, so.
How it works, you just call them and there you go.
Evidently.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Don't spread that word.
Yes, Councilmember Dragisich.
I just have one question. The area is not currently served by sanitary sewer, but are the on-site treatment systems in a situation where their life is, a lot of them are near the end, and we might be facing, let's say, 5 years from now we need to put sewer in, so we're gonna dig up a brand-new street?
We'll investigate that. We will ask when we go out and we start, engaging with the neighbors, how their sewer system's working, and we could come back to council with that report as part of our preliminary design findings, as well as talk about the implications of extending sewer at that time.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 2025-043, ordering preparation of preliminary design, geotechnical services, and feasibility report for the 2026 street and utility improvements.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. I think just to the comment earlier about the septic systems, I do know that most of these are on 2.5+ acres, some of the older ones. I think where the permitting comes into place, just from my recollection, is that the county then, if it's a failing system, they require them to put in a mound system for their unit, but, yeah.
I was going to thank staff for looking at that schedule piece, speeding it up a bit. And if it ends up saving money with better bids, good job. Like that's just a process improvement right there. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
All right, if there's no more discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes. Resolution 2025-043. Next, we have Director Powers for the University of Minnesota test seed plot.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we bring back in front of you Gary Dieters from the U of M regarding a test plot for low input grass seed. It's a test that they're doing in a couple locations throughout the metro area. The low input requires less water, less fertilizer, being more conservation friendly. So many of you have seen this already. Gary's gonna skim through it a lot quicker. If you have questions at the end, that'd be the time to answer them. And then he has a little more information about what kind of water is required for this project, gallons and such. And if the council approved that, there would be some kind of a waiver for irrigation, so.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. So just to kind of give you a little recap, because you weren't here last.
I watched it online.
You were, okay, so you saw the Met Council's wanting us to work with Lake Elmo and stuff. Great, appreciate that. So I'll run through this, just again, the introduction. We're just trying to get more water conservation mixtures in the Twin Cities. We know about the barriers and the lack of people that know about these low input and water conservation mixtures. Again, the project, we're hoping to do this at 3 other sites besides our turf research center. We know the benefits, I guess I know the benefits of these mixtures, that they can be great for saving water throughout the Twin Cities. And establishing the site is kind of a big deal. We would pay for the water, the hookups, and we would use a seeding blanket, which would help with getting the seed to establish better and use less water that way. And then we have our modular irrigation that we kind of set up, and we would use MP rotors, which are EPA approved. And then here's kind of the new addition to this. This is kind of explains the site and how big the plot is. It's not particularly big, 87.5 by 27.5. 4 rows of turf grass plots, about 30 per row. And then if you look at the irrigation, there's going to be 4 90-degree angled heads and 4 180-degree heads. And this is kind of how we figure out how much water we would use. We would use a 50 PSI regulator and a pressure regulator, and then those specific nozzles that we'll use for the 4 nozzles, the 90-degree with 50 PSI, about 95 gallons or 0.95 gallons per minute for a total of 3.8 gallons per minute. And then the 180-degree, 2.4 gallons per minute, and there's 4 of them, so 8.16 for about 12 gallons per minute. And then we figure we would use about 10 minutes per irrigation cycle. So for 120 gallons per minute per watering event, we propose 10 minutes at 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. for a max of 600 gallons a day. We would plan to evaluate and adjust, and then, so, we don't know until we do it how much water we would actually run it for. So it could be 5 minutes might be sufficient, and therefore you're using half the gallons a day. We would have the rain sensor, and we would, if it would rain or there's moisture present, we would not irrigate, which would also reduce the water use. And then by the water tower would be the site, really nice area for a research project. And then the timeline. So the biggest thing is with any turf grass is going to be the establishment. That is the main thing with getting this establishment and the use of water. If you don't have proper watering times or enough water, it'll fail. And that's what we're hoping to get out of this is an established plot, and then years 2 and 3 of maintenance and collection with 0 additional water use that we would use at all. And then 2028 and beyond, just whatever the city wants to do. So, and then the challenges is the watering restrictions. That's why we are requesting a waiver for the new seed and for the initial 15 days, and then also beyond. The further we get into September, the less water you would need anyways, just because of the shorter days, the longer nights, the less extreme heat. So, but it is still important to make sure that we have water to make sure that the site gets established. And then if you would desire signage, we could create some signs that we could post, and then also just a landing page to help homeowners learn about drought-tolerant grasses and water conservation. So the expected outcomes, you know, we just really see this being a benefit to the Twin Cities Metro, and then just, you know, eventually the state. So it's a great opportunity, and thank you. Any questions?
Questions? Councilmember Hearn?
The only question I have is just like, in worst case scenario, how many days do you think you would need to continue the watering for? To make sure that the grass is all, you know, properly germinated?
Yep. Worst case scenario, I mean, it could, if it's a bad fall, like with drought,
Yeah.
it could extend to the end of the season, but it doesn't necessarily mean we would water every day. It might be just, all right, we're gonna water, because the grasses are further along, it's like, we'll just water once this week, just to make sure, you know, we keep it going. So, like I said, the longer it goes into the season, the less water you would need. But
Okay.
that's a great question.
And then the following summer, that's when it would start, where there is no further irrigation for your study?
Correct.
Got it,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
More of a point of curiosity is, you know, as you're monitoring the water use and what it takes, and you talk about going from 10 minutes to 5 minutes, is that something that you have to go on location to do, or is that remote?
No, we would definitely have to be there to check it out, and that's not a problem for us
Yeah.
to check it out. Yep.
Is that with analyzing the moisture content of the soil?
Correct. Yep. Absolutely.
Motion to approve the UMN, University of Minnesota, Low Input Grass Study on City Property for 2025 through 2027, and provide an irrigation waiver to irrigate as needed during the 2025 establishment period.
Support.
Any discussion? Councilmember Holtz?
First, I love this. I love that Met Council and staff had this conversation to lead to this to begin with. This is the type of thing that it benefits the city, it benefits future residents, and it benefits others throughout the metro. I personally, very much in favor, if there are those signs that you showed, those could be done, absolutely. Education and outreach benefits everyone. It might be, you know, a person or two who's walking along there or who is biking. There are a lot of bikers who go along there. A person here, a person there, message spreads. So I think that would be a great idea. But thank you for this work. Hopefully you can get some quality data between all of your sites.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dragisich?
Yeah, I'd echo Councilor Holt's comments and also say, as we look to how do we reduce our water usage with all the issues we have here in Lake Elmo, you know, lawns are a big part of that. And not everyone's in support of the natural turf, grass, you know, pollinators and things like that. Some people like to have a lush green lawn. So finding an alternative would, I think, be a very positive impact for everybody.
Yep. Agreed.
I just say I'm an advocate of this type of research, and when it happens, I know that in the construction industry, we've used some University of Minnesota hybrids for, there's nothing ever that's salt-proof, but salt-tolerant
Yep.
grasses along roadways when they get reseeded, and I think it works great when it's, again, been able to be established and worked through. So I think this is great, and fully support it. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes, thank you. We look forward to seeing the results.
Thank you.
Go
Thanks so much.
Gophers.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yes.
All right, next, looks like you guys had a meeting and appointed somebody, and we're gonna appoint somebody else, so, Parks Commission appointment.
Move to appoint Giovanni Bloyer to the Parks Commission for a term ending 12/31/2026.
Support.
All right, I'm just gonna call the question, because you were all here for that, so all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So done. Mr. Giovanni Boyer is part of the Parks Commission. Well done. Council reports, Councilmember Dragisich,
No report.
Councilmember Holtz.
Last Friday, Congresswoman McCullum was in town to discuss and have a little showing of the new facility out at Public Works, along with Bay West, along with Atomic Energy Dynamic,
General Atomics.
General Atomics, that sounds better. Administrator Nicole Miller was there, Public Works Director Marty Powers, myself. There was a very good turnout. There was multiple media outlets there, multiple members of the public, and cliff notes are, it's research to determine, can a current technology be used to help in the destruction phase of PFAS? And the study will actually be wrapping up later this June-ish, early July, and they'll be able to extrapolate the data and analyze it and see, number one, it likely does work, but also determine cost analysis, is it beneficial? The only other thing I was going to mention is last week, the former mayor of Oak Park Heights passed away, Mary McCumber, and she has served her community for years. She was actually on the Lake Elmo Airport Advisory Committee with myself for the last couple of years as well. She has kids who live here in Lake Elmo, and just wanted to mention that. She will be missed.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna mention that Mary McCumber had passed away and was definitely dedicated to the city of Oak Park Heights and did a lot for them. Met her a few times and very graceful person. So the other thing was was able to attend the grand opening for the Lake Elmo Creamery on Saturday, and might have splurged a little bit and also had a slice of pizza next door, but you know, it was all good. It was a great day. It looked like a lot of families and, you know, kids get the chocolate ice cream all over their face and moms are trying to keep them clean. That was a good time. So, glad to be back. It looked like, from watching the meetings, everything went well, and kudos to you guys for having a couple good meetings.
What pizza did you have?
They said pepperoni.
Oh.
Simple, just by the slice.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
What ice cream did you have?
My preference is the black cherry ice cream.
What are you gonna have next time?
I don't know, probably go back again to the black cherry.
Just
like
checking,
that.
just checking.
A lot of people are doing root beer floats, so I might do that.
Yeah, my son had 3 different flavors on one,
Oh, that's a good way to go.
and I had to pay for it.
Yeah, well,
I went for the coconut explosion.
did you? Yeah, all right.
It's personality, that's good.
All right. Councilmember Hearn.
No report.
No report.
Okay. Staff reports.
Yeah, last week, staff gathered for a quarterly luncheon hosted by the fire department. So that was great to get everyone together. And then Bay West is holding an open house for the public this Friday, 10 to 3 at the site as well. That's
Okay.
it.
Julie?
No report.
No report.
No report.
No report.
Got 2 items. Our 7 recruits just passed all of their required state certifications this past weekend. So we've got a great group of recruits, good feedback from all their instructors throughout the program. So really proud of the efforts that they've put in. And then speaking of recruits, tomorrow we're going to kick off recruitment for next year's class. So keep an eye on social media and city's website for information on how to apply.
Marty?
39th crosswalk improvements are completed, if you didn't see them. And tomorrow, they will begin the Old Village Garden improvements. Not sure if the plantings will get in this week with the rain. They're a little behind, but they will be starting.
Sure. Mr. Stanley?
Last Wednesday, I attended a public open house for the county's kickoff of preliminary design out there at Lake Elmo Avenue and 10th Street North. It was, like I say, first public meeting, just taking input, providing information. And I'd say it was relatively well attended, say 30 to 35 residents came through over the course of a couple hours.
Good. Ms. Ansala,
Just a reminder, there's a closed session after this.
correct? All right. So I will entertain a motion to go to closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13.05D, Subdivision 3A, for the purpose of the city administrator performance review.
Second.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right,
Sorry.
moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we will go into closed session.